Okay, everybody, it's Tuesday. It's a day of Mars. It's a day to sublimate the aggression, pull out the assertiveness, exert your will onto reality. That's right. And of course, you're not going to get everything done, but you might get a lot of stuff done if you know what you're doing. I've been doing that for a long time, and I pulled myself out of poverty. I lived at the poverty level for quite a while, from the mid '80s up until the late '90s. I lived at the poverty level. Okay, and I pulled myself completely out of it. Bought a home, got a bunch of money, worked, made a lot of money working. For me, it was a lot of money. For other people, it was what the hell. So I did well, and I used my craft to do it. Yeah, my magical craft. I'm not going to go into that with you today, simply to tell you that today is a day of Mars. It's a day to be assertive and to use that sweat equity wherever you can. And if you're magical, use the magic to go along with it. You'll probably get good results. I sure did. It took quite a while. It took about a good 10 years or so. However, I got on the path and I haven't strayed. Okay, in the world of politics, which is what I usually comment on up here, the Democrats won big on that Tuesday, November 4th, I think it was. Yeah. Okay, so they they won the governorships in Jersey and in Virginia. Prop 50 went. There was a bunch of seats in state elections that got won. I think it was the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So there were some big victories. My favorite victory was Mamdani. Why? Because he's a DSA. I'm a DSA, Democratic Socialist. We're part of the Democratic Party, but you know what? I don't like the center Dems. I don't like centrists, period, because they always capitulate in my view and in my experience. Just like what happened with this vote on the shutdown, where 7 Democrats and 1 independent. Okay, so let's get the news straight here. 7 Democrats and 1 independent in the Senate. Okay, so that's out of 47, which works out to be around 18%. Okay, they ended the shutdown with their vote by getting some false promises from the lying sons of bitches in the GOP. And let me tell you something, this is a party that needs to implode from within, and it's kind of on the way. So if you're magical, kickstart that shit, will you? Yeah, give it a big nudge, because this party can implode and destroy itself within, and then we can do something with the Big Tent in the Democratic Party. We got a Big Tent over there. You can represent a lot. I mean, a lot of people defected from the GOP and came over to the Democrats. Yeah, a lot of them did since 2016. Well, 2018. A lot of them were hoping that this orange pus bag was going to do something significant to change people's lives for the better, which he has never done. Yeah, he's only out for the 1%. He's not out, maybe the 10% on a good day. He's not out for you and me. He's not out for us middle class people. I'm middle class. My income level is kind of almost upper middle class. Okay? At any rate, the problem in this country is capitalism and the way it's practiced. That's right. Okay, here comes your old left-wing argument. Capitalism was, always has been the problem. And gonna be, unless we do something to change it significantly. Okay, so the real socialist solution for this is not the state running everything. Hell no. It's the people. What that means is more cooperation, cooperatives. We need big business owned by worker cooperatives and communities. When a community can take ownership and do it responsibly, now that's the big problem, is doing it responsibly. You see, right now, you got a POTUS. God, I hate to call him that, because this guy's such a dirtbag. He's not even a good mobster. He uses all kinds of bullying, leverage, all kinds of crap. He probably would have people killed if he could get away with it. Yeah, he probably would. So this guy is just a poor excuse. He's not a good leader. He's a piece of shit that's a useful idiot for the people pulling the strings behind the scenes. So that's a problem. You got a guy who's basically a bloviated puppet. This guy is a blowhard, a puppet, a compulsive liar. I mean, watch him sometime and see everything he said. If you know some of your facts, and the facts you do know, you're going to see he lies. So let's get some facts straight right now, okay? Let's talk about this Senate vote. Okay, so 8 switch sides on the vote so that the shutdown could end. Well, okay, so there's some positives to shutdown ending. Federal employees that didn't get fired are going to get paid. Okay, that's a good thing. The mail's going to go. I don't think the mail didn't get stopped during the shutdown, which was a good thing. Okay, air traffic controllers. Well, we're lucky we didn't have a bunch of plane crashes, and that's probably because some of these folks are very talented at what they do, and they made sure that we didn't. Yeah. Okay, so they're going back to work. I don't know how soon or whatever. We don't have any timelines that have gotten delivered to us. Well, they probably are out there, but I haven't seen them, unfortunately. Maybe some of you folks can straighten us out on all that. So, at any rate, there's been promises made by the GOP, the disgusting, goofy, old pieces of shit. That's what they are. They're goofballs. Yeah, they're pieces of shit. And the thing that we can chant for, that we can hope for, that we can wish for, is that their implosion, which is starting up, continues, and that they destroy themselves. And maybe they'll be reborn as something else that's useful to some people. They've never been useful to me. The same with your right-wing Democrats and your centrists. No, and independence Democrats, I don't give a shit what they are. Centrists are too flip-floppy. They flip. This is why that puss bag got a second term, because people flipped. They believed his bullshit. Now, most of us haven't believed his bullshit from day one. We knew he was a liar, a cheat, and a thief. And he's continued his ways. Yeah, he's enriched himself with phony Bitcoin. God damn. He's crypto scam number 982. Grift in motion. Okay, so the problem here is capitalism. It's always been the problem because of the way it's practiced. Now, we almost got it a little regulated at one point because we do have the antitrust, right? We do have a means. We did have the Consumer Protection Agency, which was great. And so what happened? Okay, so 2017, Trump got rid of it. Yeah, son of a bitch. God, he's such a no good. You know what? I don't like to give him labels like son of a bitch, no good bastard, dirty, rotten motherfucker, because that's what he is. However, those names are too good for him. I'd rather save those from somebody that actually is a lesser piece of shit. Yeah? Okay. So, he took that away, and that hurt a lot. A lot of people got hurt because he took that away. Yeah, that was wrong. Okay? And nobody does the antitrust crap. No, they don't do it. They should. I mean, the FTC should be completely independent and should be elected by the people and by oversight by the Congress to make sure that we're not getting screwed. Same with FTC, same with SEC, right? Yeah. You know, okay, an executive, you have to have a really great leader executive. Hey, don't get me wrong. Biden was good at getting things legislated. He was really good at it. Now, I didn't like a lot of what he did. I've never liked the guy. He's always been a corporate scum, you know. So this is a whole problem. Capitalism. Too much unregulated crony capitalism. That's the problem. Okay, so I got excited about Mamdani. I told you that because he's DSA. I'm DSA. I'm old school leftist from way back since I was 17 years old. Right. I'm not really a Marxist. You know, some of the things that Marx said, well, you see, Marx is misunderstood by people that make these labels, by a lot of these people. They're just doing that to flood the zone. Right. They're doing it to flood the zone so they don't have to tell you what Marxism is really about. It's an economic theory. And it explains why capitalism is gone wrong. Okay, so when this is tempered by good types of socialism, by positive types of socialism, like cooperatives, worker co-ops, like public-owned stuff that's regulated and overseen by the people. You see, the problem we have here, we want to put everything on automatic pilot. Yes, we want to put everything on automatic pilot. We want everything to run by itself so we don't have to take responsibility. Hey, I'm no different than you. You know, I didn't start voting until the last time Clinton ran. Yeah, well, wrong. The first Clinton election, I voted for Nader, okay? Yeah, because Nader, I tell you what, Nader, man, he's the sharpest guy of all those guys, always. Yeah, I'm a Nader guy. Anyway, then I voted for Clinton because I wanted to vote for somebody who was going to win. Yeah, because at that point, you know, I went back to my old way of thinking. This whole process is a fucking joke, right? It's not really democracy. It's what they call representative, constitutional, democratic republic, okay? Well, the democracy part, as I've explained in many of my previous videos, is wrong because you don't have democracy in public until you have it in the workplace. You know, when 3% of the population owns the businesses and hires everybody that's working, it's wrong. I just ran some numbers today. You know, because people talk about the minimum wage and it being $7.25 an hour. Well, that's the federal minimum wage minimum, okay, for federal workers. Minimum wage averaged across the country is $9.24 an hour. Now, who the hell can survive on that? Unless you're living someplace for free. Now, if you're living somewhere for free, yeah. If you're getting subsidized otherwise with SNAP, maybe with some kind of other supplementals, yeah. You know, it takes about, a lady came on today, she's these millionaires, what is it, Millionaires Against, I forget this lady. She was on Katie Fang today. She was great. What I liked about her, she talks about businesses having to pay people a minimum wage which they can live on, which they can pay their rent, which they can buy their food, right? They can take care of all their basic needs and have a little money left over for expendable income. Yeah, for a little disposable income. Well, some places that's going to be $25, $30 an hour. That's right. You know what the average one-bedroom apartment rents for in New York City? $4,400 a month. Now, I live in Phoenix. Here, it ranges between $1,700 and $1,500 a month. And this is a one-bedroom, okay? That means I have to, if I'm going to live that way, and thank goodness I don't have to, I have to take home $1,700 a month according to the old model, the old budget model I used to live by, which said you spend 25% of your take-home, no more, on living, on shelter, okay, on an apartment, on a home mortgage, on that type of stuff. That means I have to take home $1,500 to $1,700 a month or a week. Yeah. Now, before I had a low mortgage, it was about $1,000. Okay, I got rid of it. I paid off my house. I don't owe anything on my house. It's free and clear. I pay taxes and insurance, and that's it. Okay, so it's pretty good for me. Okay, well, the sad thing is, now I bought this house in 2012, okay? So I got into this house for about a third of what it's worth now. Well, it's actually worth about a quarter. Or I paid about a quarter of what it's worth now, okay? Anyway, here we go. So everything's way out of kilter for people. How are people going to afford, okay? Now, my sister's in insurance, health insurance, and all that, so she knows a lot about it. She told me, she said, lower income people are still going to be subsidized, okay? That's something that we have to get straight. They're still going to get taken care of, according to what she told me. I believe her because she's in the industry. She knows what the hell she's doing. And she works with a lot of people that are on the ACA. See, I never liked the name Obamacare. I like ACA, okay? I don't like it. I think it's shit. And I guarantee you that orange pus bag is not going to come up with anything that's any better. What he wants to do is give people money for a health savings account. Now, for young people who are healthy, that's great. They get $2,000 a year. They keep stacking it up. They put it on interest. Okay, so the next thing you know, they got 20 grand in there. And then they have an operation that costs 100 grand and they're broke. So this doesn't work. Okay, and so they're bringing up all this crap, when really what we need is what Bernie and the other socialists have been talking about, and those of us who are progressives and on the far left, is we need Medicare for all, or a universal payer system to where everybody pays a fair amount. And that should probably be based on what your take-home pay is. Yeah, and what your expenses are on an average in your community. Yeah, that's what it should be based on. So if I only take home, let's say back in the old days, I used to take home about $2,000 a month. So that means that 500, and back then it did. 500 was rent, right? Didn't pay any utilities because I was included. 500 was rent. I had car insurance, was like $80 a month. Okay, food cost me about $1.50 a week. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay, so I was able to live on that back then. That was when I was living right at the poverty, just a hair above the poverty level. Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, okay, so I've gone beyond that. And the money I make now used to be great money 15 years ago. Well, it isn't anymore. No. Now I'm just like an average middle income, higher middle income guy. With the money that I make. But I still, I claim zero and still have to pay the IRS every year. Okay, enough of that. So this is what we need. Now, let's go back to some of the facts here. You know, I tell you, I never liked the Democrats. I never liked them ever since 1968. I haven't liked them with what happened in Chicago at the Democratic Convention. Okay, I don't want to dredge that all up because that was a real nightmare. But it was a great turning point for those of us who became ensconced in the left and the real ideology of the left. Okay, see, people don't know about Marx. I'm not a Marxist because I don't embrace all of it. Marx was an economist, and he had theories about economics. Okay, that, believe it or not, some of the Marxist economists claim that Keynes, the Keynesian economics, that he was a Marxist economist. He and Michael Hudson and Richard Wolff, these guys are Marxist economists. So they know what they're talking about in regard to this, and they know that capitalism has a lot of drawbacks. It's really the problem, okay? So you had 8 who switched sides and voted for the shutdown to end. Now, 7 of them were Democrats, and 1 of them was an independent who caucuses with the Democrats. So now everybody wants to blame all of the Democrats for that. No, that's wrong. 17% screwed it up for everybody else. Now, some of those Democrats that knew they were getting screwed, they have been jumping on people like Chucky Boy. Yeah, fuck you, Chuck, you APAC sucking bastard. Fuck you. Go to the farm. It's time for you to lay down your crap and go to the farm. And let somebody else come into the Senate. Let somebody else in the Senate who is more progressive, okay, become the leader of the Democratic Senatorial Party, right, of that caucus. Let them become the leader of the Senate Democrats. Not you. You're done. Get GTFO, right? Same with you, Hakeem, in the House. Get the fuck down the road, okay? Because let's face it, and I like Cenk Uygur for this. In his book, he pointed out that everything that the mass majority of the American people want are progressive. They're progressive platform ideas. That's right. It's progressives, right? Okay, so this is where most of the American people are. Look at how Trump's got disapproval on the economy. Well, it's like Carville said, and I don't like Carville. He's just an old honky. He's just an old God. Where's he from? From Alabama or Mississippi or one of those places? He's just an old honky. He's an old middle of the road Democrat. Okay, but he did say something that's one of my favorite slogans. It's the economy, stupid. Well, I like to flip that around. It's a stupid economy. That's what the problem is, my friends. The economy doesn't favor the vast majority of us. Oh, yeah, it gives us a chance. For instance, you used to have a better chance. You used to have about a 1 in 11 chance of becoming a millionaire. Well, a millionaire is cool, but you need 5 to really make it happen. Okay? You've got, I think it's 0.003% chance of becoming a billionaire. Well, I know a lot of you guys want to be billionaires. Well, who doesn't? I'd like to be a billionaire. Well, let me put it to you this way. I am not that good at business to get there. And I am not a Nepo baby. Okay? So I'm not going to get there. Okay? In the rest of my life. And I'm okay with it. And most people are okay with that. There's some people, they want that. They want to let things go and leave capitalism unregulated so they have that probability of becoming a billionaire. Well, that 0.003% will. Ha, ha, ha. And now you got a trillionaire, probably, with Muskrat. God damn. Why do people idolize this guy? He's nothing but an opportunist. He's a damn good one. He's the best one we've seen in my lifetime. But that doesn't mean shit to me. Being an opportunist with the way he is definitely not palatable. It's bad shit. It's goofy shit. This guy is, I can't stand him. I mean, I put him in a similar category with Trump, even though he's a really fried ketamine addict. He's a much better thinker. He's much more intelligent than Trump. Trump has probably lost more money than he's ever made, or he's probably lost almost everything he's ever made. There you go. Well, I don't give a shit about that. Okay? Here's the problem. People want a goddamn strong man. They want this strong leader who comes in and impresses his viewpoints, and they're good viewpoints, and everybody benefits. Then you got the evangelicals. Now, to you people who have a sincere belief in that faith in your life, I'm not going to put you down. I do, however, have a lot of criticisms of the belief system. Okay? The problem with Christianity is it's too evangelical. Because if you're a born-again Christian, you're supposed to go out and witness to the people and get converts. Yeah. Does that kind of remind you of the Republican? No, anyway. So, there's a problem there. When people believe in a myth, and a lot of this Christianity was drummed up 200 to 500 years after the alleged life of this Jesus guy, this Yeshua ben Joseph, Yeshua the son of Joseph. Okay, well, I for one believe that he didn't exist than he did. I might cave in on a certain percentage that he may have been a historical figure or a composite of historical figures that became this Jesus. Well, the problem is people believe in that shit, and they want to put this on all of us. Yeah, not everybody that's a Christian. No, I would say that probably the majority of the believers in Christ and what Christ really taught are not that way. No. They might believe you got to get saved and you've got to be saved and you've got to preach the gospel to everybody you meet in order to, do good works and all that kind of shit. But you see, that's cool. But when they come to me and they try to preach to me, I tell them I'm an atheist for good reason. I'm especially an atheist against your religion and against your God. Okay? Now, when you say you're an atheist, if you're a universal atheist, that's one thing. But a lot of us are atheists against specific belief systems, okay? Anyway, that's enough of that. Back to this whole shit about 17% this is the apple that spoiled the whole barrel, right? Yeah, this is the apple that spoiled the rest of the apples. That 17% of senators that caved in with the geeks of oppression, the geeks of pus. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The guys, and believe me, there's a lot of Democrats out there in the Democratic Party, probably politicians who are serving, that are getting money from health insurance companies. We know there's a pile of them that get APAC money, and we know what's going on in Gaza, and we know what Israel. Now, those of us who have done our reading, we know what Israel has done to the Palestinians since 1947. We know, and it's wrong, and it's genocidal. It's wrong. So we have to reframe all this. Okay, now what's the reframe? Well, the reframe is we need a better healthcare system, and it's not going to be what Trump puts out. It's not going to be Trump care. That's Trump care. Yeah, no, it's not going to be that. It's got to be an equitable system, right? And it's got to cut the for-profit health insurance companies out of the picture. We need non-profit health insurance. Where there's profits, there's problems. Where there's profits, people get screwed. And I'm tired of it. And you're tired of it. Okay? Yeah, okay, so Medicare takes care of me, and they do a damn good job, and I appreciate it. I have a supplement that my employer pays for me. It's not that much. It's probably going to go up, but I don't care if I have to pay it. It's not that much. Everybody needs something like that. Everybody needs something that's affordable, okay, that they can afford based on their income, and they need full coverage. They need full coverage with a low deductible. Now, I pay a $2,200 deductible on my drug plan, okay, and I have to use some very expensive drugs, so it gets paid for right away. So there's all your problems on this whole healthcare scam shit that's going on. The problem is the health insurance companies and that they're for profit. That's what the real problem is. It's not ACA. It's not what's going to be the new program, which nobody's going to want. It's not going to be a $10,000 deductible and piss poor coverage. No, it's not. And none of us in the majority of things. There's people that are so wealthy, they don't give a shit. Some of them don't even. I heard one yesterday that she was on the whose podcast? She was on the podcast with Jessica Tarlov, and he was saying, "Yeah, I don't have health insurance because I'm very, very wealthy and I can afford whatever happens." Well, but he did have a little bit of compassion, well, a great deal of compassion for the rest of us who are not like that, who are not in that position. We're probably never going to be in that position. Some of us have an 11% chance, probably lower now, probably more 15% chance of becoming millionaires. Multimillionaires even less. So we're not going to get there, folks. No, we're not going to get there. And so we need something that's affordable. What was the average? We're paying the most in the world at like $7,500 per person. And a lot of places in the world pay under $4,000, like $3,000 a year. Okay. So that's about what I pay in Medicare, about $4,000 a year. That's about right. And that's the most that anybody, in my opinion, especially those of us who are not millionaires making, over $400,000 a year, should pay. Yeah. And you guys are pissed because you got to help foot the bill for the rest of it. You goddamn right you do, because it's your duty to society and to your community, which you take from and give very little back. And that's true for most of them. Okay, everybody. Well, happy Tuesday night. Get after it. Have a good time if you can. And let's not stop. Let's keep fighting with no violence. Let's be peaceful. Let's keep the struggle up. And let's win. And I say to you, with my right hand, right on.